didn't have enough wisdom. So some of those days, he will say that God gave him a vision. And it is not what I'm doing that is his vision. I said, but I'm your son. I mean, everything should flow together. Well, one thing led to the other. A lot of persecutions came out, and it was not possible for me to continue in that scenario. And January 2018, I was on my way to a crusade in Kaduna. So when I came there, or rather before I went there, I passed through Makurdi. The previous year, 2017, I came for the International Eagles Conference. So I felt Makurdi is on the way to Kaduna, so let me just pass through. I came for the normal January prophetic verses after that. So from the house, that is my father in the Lord, Apostle Arome's house, I stayed there. After that, I went from there for the program. A lot of things happened. In fact, that was one of my most anointed days in my life. A lot of things happened, broken bones. The move, it was on the street, and the move of God was so strong. But when I came back, I tried to pick my bag at the house to go back home. And I had an experience. I normally have that experience when God is insistent in making sure I don't make mistakes. Now, if I go a little bit back, you remember I said that there was a time I tried to go to Lagos, or I was cancelled to go to Lagos. What happened is that I actually wanted to go to Lagos, and I finished packing my bag, and my friend was waiting for me. We were about to go and start up something over there. In the morning, as I was about to pick my bag to go, I felt a hand hold me on the shoulders. And once that angel holds me on the shoulders, I will know that God is so insistent that this mistake will not be managed. There are mistakes that can be managed, necessary mistakes, but this cannot be managed. So when I came to Makurdi, I felt a strong restraint to stay back. For the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, ministry halted. And in fact, God went as much as telling me not to tell people I'm a pastor all that time. Oh, it was not funny. But that period helped me to separate myself, wean myself from what I came from. You see, because it is necessary for you to be weaned from that. I was weaned, and it was not a pleasant period, but it was a necessary period. It was also a period that God brought me into a new authority, because the authority I had over me before then was not suitable to bring me to the place of my destiny. It was also a period that God gave me a clear-cut direction, especially as it borders on location. At that point, I was still fighting location. That location issue, I fought it for 5 years. But after that, I got a strong leading that God is taking me back to the east, and not just east. I tried to stop at Enugu. He said, go back. So as I was going, I tried to stop at Oka. He said, no, go back. So God took me back to my village. It was hard. It was hard for 2 reasons. One, I know that ministry in my place is very hard. It is not just that ministry is hard. The ministry by an indigene is far harder. Indigenes don't survive in ministry there. And secondly, my father also has a ministry, and he's still alive, and he's still in the same place. How do a young man come back and tell them that he has a calling in the same village with his father? It was so tough for me that even when my father in the Lord prayed for me, what I decided to do is to go back and continue with my father's ministry, probably take over from him, and then change a few things to fit my own calling. And after the prayer, I went back, and my father told me openly that his calling is different from my own. So I have to enter into another season. God made my heart strong. And after a 21 days night vigil with my 4 sisters especially, and then my mother, a few friends came around, and God told me to start meeting 2 times during the weekdays. If you come, pray and do Bible study, and then you can go. So we started off Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And this is 2019. That's how Revival Hub came about. 2017, a man around me offered me some money. It was a lot of money, up to $1 million, and he said that he wants us to, iron out this ministry together. Let him, an Easterner sees anything, including ministry, as a transactional. Is hedonistic. What a hedonistic ministry is what you have with a native doctor. I mean, you come to him, you don't necessarily need to have a relationship with him. All you need is to give him something, pay, and then he gives you the result you want, and then you go. And so that is a very big challenge. In fact, when I started, a woman came and told me, this way you are doing ministry, nobody will come to your church. How can you just be praying and you are not praying for people's needs? Somebody came and told me that all I need is to make sure that, because Nnewi is a business hub. As a matter of fact, Eastern Nigeria, but most especially Nnewi and Onitsha, and they are close together. I mean, so people come from Onitsha to some of our meetings, and they go back the same day. So the man said that all I need to do is to get to know how to help people in business survive, pray for their business, and then I will be sorted out in life. But the burden in me cannot be sorted with money. The implication of that is that many people did not join me. They refused to join me. And for long, we prayed alone, 3-4 people, 5 people. We come for meetings and we sit on the ground. For long as more than a year, we were just praying. I might not have the time to explain the mystery that God taught me about setting up territorial lampstand. If you can obey God to that extent, a season will come, people will be compelled to come, not because they like you, but because God has set up something in the territory and He is willing to tell people to gather around it. So that's how we broke out from the Spirit. I knew the reason why I pray the way I pray is because I knew that there is no other way to survive except to break forth from the Spirit. No help is coming. The people has already told me they are not coming.